is Valley News Live at 4.
Good afternoon, everyone. Joe Biden has officially been sworn in as the 46th President of the United States. We'll have the latest from the Capitol coming up after your local headlines. But first, here's a look at today's top 4 at 4. The Griggs County Sheriff's Office is looking for information on the person who vandalized the Cooperstown Bible Camp. Deputies say the damage is extensive. A spokesperson for the camp says someone was driving around recklessly, nearly missing trees, buildings, and propane tanks, and they set fire to one of the boys' cabins. If you have any information related to this case, contact the Griggs County Sheriff's Office at the number on your screen. A man is in jail after police found him passed out behind the wheel with alcohol and a gun. It happened this morning around 5 a.m. when a Fargo police officer was on patrol in the area of 2500 8th Street North. They came across 41-year-old Danny Shelvin passed out behind the wheel of a car that was still running. The officer spotted an open container of alcohol and a sawed-off shotgun in the passenger seat. The officer removed the shotgun while Shelvin was still asleep. He was then woken up and arrested. Shelvin is a convicted felon and prohibited from possessing a firearm. Deputies in the Southern Valley suspect alcohol was a factor in a crash that sent 3 people to the hospital. The Richland County Sheriff's Office says Nicholas Heitkamp of Wapaton ran a stop sign near Dwight, North Dakota, and was hit by an SUV. Both vehicles were totaled. The SUV driver and the 2 children in her car were treated at the Breckenridge Hospital. Heitkamp and his passenger were treated for minor injuries at the scene. The Sheriff's Office says alcohol-related charges are likely against Heitkamp. A woman is in the hospital after a rollover crash near Valley City. North Dakota Highway Patrol says it happened at 9:50 this morning on I-94 just west of Valley City. Police say the woman was heading towards Jamestown when she lost control of her Buick and overcorrected, causing it to enter the median and flip onto the eastbound lanes. No word yet on how she's doing, but police say she was not wearing her seatbelt. The crash is still under investigation. That wraps up today's top 4 at 4. Now let's get a first look at our weather with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Hutch.
Stacy, thanks so much. Good evening, everyone. One of the first things I noticed was opening that door. We went from near 0 to this morning's 30s. That's a big warm up. And in fact, much of the valley warming up a good 30 to 35 degrees this hour over yesterday at this time. But those winds have really started to roar this afternoon with gusts hitting 60 miles per hour. That's dangerous to high profile vehicles. The winds are gusting from the west, and here is a look at the current temperatures, still holding on to near 40 in Oaks, in Jamestown, and in Fargo. And we do have a few flakes of snow dashing their way across northwest portions of Minnesota. As we head through our evening, the wind continues, as does the chance of snow in northern Minnesota. For Fargo, I don't expect snow, but we'll have some increasing clouds. Our winds remain gusty right into the early evening hours, as temperatures will be in the 30s for almost all of our evening and even a portion of the overnight. Grand Forks, gusty with temperatures slipping into the 20s by midnight tonight. We have much colder air that will punch its way into the valley for tomorrow. I'll have hour-by-hour details on that in a moment.
All right, thanks so much, Hutch. America has a new president just 2 weeks after a deadly riot at the U.S. Capitol building. Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar addressed that riot today on the same steps that were stormed on January 6th. Klobuchar, who led the inaugural committee, using it as an inflection point to move forward together as Americans. She also spoke about Kamala Harris's historic moment being sworn in as the first female vice president.
When she takes the oath of office, little girls and boys across the world will know that anything and everything is possible. And in the end, that is America, our democracy, a country of so much good. And today, on these Capitol steps and before this glorious field of flags, we rededicate ourselves to its cause.
Today's inauguration is unlike any in recent history. More than 25,000 soldiers have replaced the usual D.C. crowds as the city remains on edge following the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Security is tight in and around where Joe Biden took the oath of office. We spoke with our chief White House correspondent on how the city is working to keep everyone safe on this historic day.
Lots of security in Washington, D.C. today. Just to get to where I am, I had to go through 3 layers of security, Jordan, including metal detectors, and that's because of what happened 2 weeks ago. There's 25,000 National Guard on the street. That's augmented by Capitol Police, D.C. Police, Secret Service. So this city really is a very secure, it's like a fortress.
Now, at a time when so many of the inaugural traditions we've come to expect have been absent, one thing stayed the same. The new president of the United States took the oath of office just before noon on January 20th. As Natalie Brand reports from Capitol Hill, President Biden called for unity moments after being sworn in.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
After taking the presidential oath of office, President Joseph R. Biden declared democracy has prevailed.
I will be a president for all Americans. All Americans.
Former presidents Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton were on hand for the transfer of power, as well as outgoing Vice President Mike Pence.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Pence's successor, Kamala Harris, made history, becoming not only the first woman, but the first black person and first person of South Asian descent to become vice president. Speaking at the Capitol just 2 weeks after rioters stormed the building, the 46th president said unity is the only path forward.
My whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause.
While today was steeped in tradition, only a small, socially distanced group attended the ceremony because of the coronavirus pandemic and increased security concerns.
The National Mall, usually crowded with supporters, was instead filled with flags. On stage, a bipartisan show of star power.
Amazing grace.
Notably absent, former President Donald Trump, who declined to greet his successor as he hinted at a political return.
We will be back in some form. I wish the new administration great luck and great success.
But Mr. Trump departed for Florida before festivities began. After arriving at the White House, President Biden will launch his administration with more than a dozen executive actions addressing issues from the pandemic to climate change. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Now, those executive actions will reverse many of former President Trump's policies. President Biden is expected to halt construction on the border wall, end the travel ban on some Muslim-majority countries, and rejoin the World Health Organization. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris honor fallen soldiers following their inauguration ceremony, traveling from the Capitol to Arlington National Cemetery moments after taking the oath of office. In a solemn ceremony, the newly sworn-in leaders taking a moment to lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. They were joined by their families, along with former presidents Barack Obama and Michelle, George W. Bush and Laura, and Bill and Hillary Clinton. Some people here in the Fargo-Moorhead area are commemorating Inauguration Day in their own way. Several people are gathering right now at Island Park to get ready for a solidarity march. It's one of many demonstrations taking place around the nation today. Valley News Team's Courtney Lockie joins us live now with more. Courtney.
Thanks, Stacy. People are just now starting to show up here at Island Park. I checked the group's Facebook page just a little bit ago, and it said that about 100 people said they plan to be here, but marchers are going to hit the streets in about an hour here in downtown Fargo. Now, the event is for a better 2020. They say that even with a new president coming into office, it's going to take communities standing together to see some of those changes that they need. Now, stick with Valley News Live. We're going to be covering this march tonight. For now, live in Fargo, Courtney Lockie, Valley News Live.
Courtney, thanks so much. Sanford Health opens its new vaccination center today. Valley News Team's Brian Sherrod has an update on the vaccine rollout in Fargo.
After speaking with a representative about how their day one of the vaccination center was going, he tells me that it's been a great day. Now, this new 8,000 square foot vaccination center has been placed in the old Gordman's facility. Accenture Health and Fargo Cass Public Health will join this joint project in the future. Today, Sanford plans to vaccinate 144 people. This is a combination of Sanford employees and those 75 years old and older with underlying health conditions. They are still working on getting signage installed. Now, Sanford also sends a reminder that they will call patients when a vaccine is available for them. So after you get that call, you'll be able to sign up for an appointment using their My Sanford chart.
And you can find more details right on our VNL News app. Just click on this story. Up next, President Trump ending his presidency with some notable pardons. We'll also tell you some big names he chose not to pardon when Valley News Live at 4 continues.
As promised, our warm Wednesday came with some wind. Gusts over 60 miles per hour possible out west. Your forecast looks cooler. I'll have details right after this.